All right, in the bottom right-hand side, our Blue Zerg player from the Shopify Rebellion. It is Lambo. The bottom left-hand side from Dragon Phoenix Gaming, putting them in the lead. It is Cure. All right, map number 1. Blackburn is the predetermined map. Again, if Lambo loses the first map, he can pick his map, but again, at some point you need a 2-0. So if you don't 2-0 here, you have to 2-0 whoever comes up next. And if you don't 2-0 here, you're also reviving a player. It's going to be a big ask, guys. I mean, like I say, it's brutal to fall behind 2-0 and against teams like Dragon Phoenix Gaming, because finding a 2-0, it's not just a 2-0 against someone like a Rogue or Cura or Dark, right? It's finding a 2-0 against those guys. It's finding a 2-0 against those guys when they also get to pick a map and you only have one veto. That wasn't even a veto for that specific matchup per se, but just in the overall series. So the fact that they will get a map pick if they lose the first game just makes it even tougher. That loser pick is meant to obviously give a little bit of an underdog advantage. You lose the first game, oh, the favorite has to play on, your map the second time. But it also makes, finding 2-0s that much harder when you're behind and you need the 2-0s in this situation. Yeah, big things to discuss here for sure. If it comes in early game, we'll look around and see what's going on. How much prize pool does this event have? This is a $95,000 league. They doubled the prize pool thanks to merchandise sales. They had 1,000 WTL gift boxes, and they sold all 1,000 of them for about $45 each, doubling the prize pool to $95,000. Lambo was a real hero for the Shopify Rebellion in the last season playoffs when he played against Trap. He essentially played a best of 7. He 2-0'd Trap, and then Trap 2-0'd him on the revive. Then Lambo got revived again, and he 2-0'd Trap again, so he went 4-2 overall. And that's what sent Shopify Rebellion through against the Afrika Freaks in the first round of the playoffs. They would then go on to lose in the next round of the playoffs, unfortunately, to, I believe, was it an Innovation? Came through and played a good set of games to more or less pick up the all kill. Well, feelings going to chase this Reaper around as it really is looking for some info here. The Roach Roaring is up, and Roach is already finishing up from Lambo, so he is going to put some pressure on. He's doing a lot to try and deny the scouting from Kira right now. As Kira is reactoring out Marines, always good when you're playing against some Roaches here. Only building one Hellion at a time, but at least it is Hellions from Lambo's point of view, because if this was obviously going to be non-Hellions, then there would probably be like a Cyclone or so. We're going to see the Tech Lab coming up now. He has spotted this, so we see the bunker starting, and Lambo will have that to contest with on the low ground as he looks for some early damage here now. A couple of extra OVs coming up for him as he breaks out of a supply block. We'll see what Lambo does on the follow-up to this. Yep, as one Overlord finishes instantly into a few drones. Actually goes link speed behind this as well, so definitely has a bit of a plan here as, again, bunker will be done. And as we come up the ramp, we're going to start killing a few of these SCVs that get pulled in. Just buffering for the Marines. Better to pull the SCVs early and keep all of the Marines alive, dealing full amounts of damage, than it is to lose a bunch of Marines, then pull the SCVs when you don't have a lot of damage output left over because your Marine count's obviously been completely shut down. Definitely something for consideration. There's a Queen just dropping an inject here and there. This medevac boost down. The bottom left-hand side going to be coming through and looking to deny this Overlord. Overlord is going to get shot down. Lambo will hit a supply block from that Overlord loss. So, unfortunately, losing out on this. And, well, I mean, it's kind of meant to happen. You get some scouting information with it, etc. But here you go with this medevac now across the map. Not the greatest opening from Lambo. Currently, supply blocked, I think, is the biggest issue here. Plus the fact that these roaches just didn't do much at all. That's rough for him. He's behind a couple of workers. He's losing overlords. He's taking damage. Yeah, it's pretty tough so far. He's also now going to have these Banshees as well, and that's something you need to defend as Lambo. If you can't defend these Banshees properly, you can lose a few workers, and that's going to put you into a really, really tough position. So, something for us to look at as we see this medevac coming down the right-hand side. Marines will begin to unload. Feelings coming in there. The Marines will load back up. Medevac is going to end up boosting away back to the top corner. Well, as you see, the extra drones all still coming up as well. That's going to be seen our +1 missile upgrade starting, the carapace upgrade on the way through too. All of that's still on the way as well. The stim pack, 1-1 upgrades, etc. Also continuing to play. A couple of drones going down as the Banshees get active there as well, so they have a little bit of fun. They're working themselves into the center here, just going to pick up a few of these creep tumors, and again, just slowing down what Lambo has, right? The less creep that he has, the less likely he is to be able to stop these pushes. The slower he's going to be getting across the map with his own pushes. He's actually going to play these roaches, and an infestation and bayonets behind us. So 1-1 roaches, but already teching up otherwise, so it's not like a real focus on the 1-1 roach time. And of course, I mean, it's not like it's a super fast 1-1 or roaches or anything, right? So it'd be a very late 1-1 roach timing. But yeah, he's going to play with a primary kind of roach focus, but like I say, we'll have some bailing support. We'll have the tech coming through on the infestation pit. Probably just going to open up the hive. The other real option off the infestation pit, then I guess, would be to maybe play like an infestor or two, and just get a couple of fungals out so you can keep the units locked down and get those Ravager battles to start connecting. Obviously, we saw a little bit of that earlier with Dark and Beyond in the first couple maps, so that this playoff match of the World Team League saw. Good group of medevacs loading up, going to start moving up to the top side. So making their way around the top. 1-1 upgrades about to finish. Combat shield will be done very soon as well. I'm just going to see our factory. Also going to be done here in the near future. I'm going to stim in and just going to see a few of these roaches already dropping. We just run forward, and it's going to be a hatchery in some trouble. These lings are going to run in to help, as you see the hatchery is actually going to be taken down. So that's a hatchery denied. Well, the medevacs are loading behind the gold mineral line and bringing that up as we see the overall on the left side getting taken down as well. So that gets picked up. The drop play already from Kira doing a lot, he's got good map control, he's denying Lambo's mining, he's keeping Lambo busy. A lot of good stuff at the moment as that Ling Roach Ravager sits in the center. And a couple of creep team is still dropping down as well. Lambo in the end, Hive is done, he's just going to move his way into an Ultra Cavern, so he's actually going to start the melee upgrades, and a little bit of it, interest in transitioning into Ultras. You see the Ultras a lot off the back of Ling Bay Muter and so on, but yeah, to go kind of Roach Ravager early and then switch into melee upgrades and move into Ultras, a bit different of a style. I just gotta say that Ultras in general have just been seeing a little bit more love lately. It feels like I hadn't seen Ultras in a long, long time. Until maybe about a week ago even, and from about a week ago, I realized, man, these Ultras are seeing a lot of game time, they're getting a lot of plays. So yeah, interesting to see the Ultras becoming just a more regular choice once again. We do see the corrosive bar is going to force these units up into the sky, so that will happen. These medevacs are going to go unloading back on the left-hand side, mind you, and a few tanks showing up to help out with that. Everything joining together. The banelings continue morphing in this biome. He gets forward and a little bit of creep spread. Gonna get denied here pretty quickly too. It's just gonna shut that down, and well, tanks are siege and picking away at some of these creep tumors. Here come the Vipers. pressing forward, going to go in and just drop some blinding clouds down. Tank's going to get hit pretty heavily by this, as the Tanks cannot take as much of a fight as they would like to. Lambo's still trying to roll in with everything else as he gets the final bit of a cleanup on this army. Joseph bars that tank down, the units chasing down the little bit of bio that's left. And Lambo is going to stop here from just kind of standing on his side of the map, so a cleanup, but I mean a cleanup that comes at a cost. Lambo obviously lost a lot of units himself in this. This wasn't a quick, simple cleanup. It was long, drawn out, expensive. And that will definitely be something of a factor here as well. Well, Lambo survives for the moment. Of course, one of the things, though, that's happened in this game with all the control that Kira's had is that Lambo's not really been able to do anything about Kira's bases, and he's now taking the gold base. Just to give you an idea of where he's at, he's going up to his 5th base. Lambo is also just on 5 bases. And again, Lambo's troop spread definitely seems hemorrhaged through the center. Just not able to really get into the proper middle of the map. And this map you kind of want it because you want to stop the Terran player from getting up behind your gold base, you know. Defending on your gold isn't good enough. It's behind the gold that's the issue. This fight here is also kind of drawn out, but it doesn't feel like Lambo ever really had the power to properly push through that army. Now, that said, Ultras are, you know, making their appearance. They only have 1 melee upgrade at the moment, but still something at least. Couple of queens getting picked up. Just going to be seeing the army still coming through. Just going to go jumping in on this. The tanks start to go down. The Vipers went very far forward after spellcasting. They're low HP and low energy. Ultra is still trying to clean up, but the supply is in favor of Kira. It looks like Kira is going to get... He's actually going to clean up, right? The Ultras are dead. He's going to get rid of the last few Lings and Ravagers. The Vipers don't have energy to help out with anything either, and Kira, his TVZ is seeming to be pretty monstrous at the moment. Turns out his TVZ is really freaking good. And that is going to be GG from Lambo. So he will lose the first map here. Oh, and it just... Pressure is just continuing to rise then for the Shopify Rebellion. Lambo will get map number 2 pick. As we'll have that in a moment, guys. I'm going to check my dog. She's barking. I'll be right back. Well, this really feels like do or die for the Rebellion. So, again, the situation is that, I guess let's do the intros first, but in the top left-hand corner, our Blue Zerg player is Lambo. In the bottom right, our red Terran is Kira. So the Shopify Rebellion will be forced to revive a player no matter what after this, right? So they cannot lose a map in the next series. But if Lambo can take this map off Kira, DPG would be on only 2 lives, which means that then the Rebellion need a 2-0, and then they can go 1-1 again and force an ultimate ace match, etc., right? But if they get 2-0'd here, if Lambo loses 0-2, and then DPG have 3 lives left, that means the Shopify Rebellion need to beat the next 2 players of DPG 2-0, rather than just beating the next player 2-0. And that would, I mean, obviously then the stack, you know, the chances just continue to stack against you. And the brutal part as well, right, is if you win the first one 2-0, then the other team are gonna, and again the adversity of playing on your opponent's map pick, etc., for map 2, etc. Even if you get the first 2-0, if you need a second one, the opposing team gets to pick who they're gonna play against, or who they're gonna play against you, because they know who your revive is at that point. They know which of the players is revived, so then they get to pick a player to try and get one of the maps. Like, it just seems so unlikely that you make it back from there, no? It's rough, guys. I mean, Lambo, I think, honestly, if there's any hope for the Shopify Rebellion, Lambo needs to win this map right now. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. Just not even a question mark. It's just has to happen. Let's see if it will. Gonna need to see the math on that. Well, not being impossible. Anything's possible, guys. I just, you know... In the world of expectations, I don't expect the Rebellion to be able to win if they end up losing this map right here. Does that make you guys feel better? Starboard coming up. We are going to be seeing Kyo playing a little bit different from how he played against Scarlet on this map. He played 3CC on this map when Scarlet picked it against him. And now he's going to play a double gas opening, so something a little bit more aggressive. I like it, switching up his builds, doing things differently, right? Just, again, mixing it up. Mixing it up in such a way that obviously is always good for you when you consider that, you know, obviously Lambo got to watch those previous games, so you don't want to do something exactly the same in case Lambo figured out something you could do against it, or adjustments to make. By playing a different game, you take away a lot of the advantage that Lambo gains from getting to watch the game between Kira and Scarlet earlier, so. And even if it is, you know, even if the core concept is the same, just the startup and how the game opens being different can have something of an impact there, so. Definitely things to consider as we do see a fusion core on the way down. So it's going to be a fusion core here early from Kira, and that up and rolling. And that's going to be a very different way to open. I did say when he played against Scarlet, might we see Kira playing some mech? Well, it's a possibility. It's absolutely something that could happen. I don't know if it... I mean, mech in general has taken a step back into, you know, just relevance lately. No, we still have a pretty big stance around the DreamHack Last Chance and before DreamHack Last Chance as well, so... It's almost like the build-up to Katowice, we're kind of like, uh-oh, mech's coming back. It's starting to be a style again. Especially Maori making mech look very good. Yeah, could be a way to kind of try and switch it up massively as this first Marine drop. We'll get an Overlord, so an Overlord on the edge gets taken down, and these Marines will move into the main. Obviously a few Lings here, and they actually are going to back it up, so Lambo needs a few more units to actually get the cleanup on this. Queens continue, and the medevac continues to take some shots, but tries to escape out of there. So 3 drones going down, as the medevac got shot down as well, so not too bad for Lambo. I mean, early drones never fun to lose, but at least you're cleaning up the pressure. And, oh, was that another medevac that got shot down? Oh god, I looked back at the screen at the wrong time. I just assumed it was the medevac. I'm dumb. I'm silly. Okay, well, maybe it's just a Marine. Sorry, I looked back from just checking chat, and I swear I saw a medevac die. Alright, Hellions are going to dive up into the natural expansion, so ignoring me being dumb. Oh, nice catch on the Lings. They're going to get those Hellions, so that's a nice catch. That's going to take away Kira's map control of the Hellions pretty much immediately, so that's a really good little move. Here comes the BC, and this is really nice because now you're not worrying about the Hellions when the BC gets here. You could argue, obviously, that Q had probably mistimed this. Why are you giving up the Hellions before the BC, you know, is ready to teleport in? You know, even if the BC teleports in just as the Hellions arrive at the front, that's better. But, and, you know, there's some argument of, oh, you're already causing chaos and then the BC shows up. But, I mean, this just, it feels like this completely backfired. And Lambo is dealing with this decently. He is losing Queens, and losing the Queens is maybe his biggest issue of all at the moment. He's only got 2 left. He will not be able to kill the BC off, and there are more BCs on the way. This is indeed mech. Double armory, extra factories. Here, playing completely differently to how we saw him playing against Scarlet earlier. Well, the thing with mech is you can generally get a lot more done in the early game, but there's a lot less you can do to follow up and actually end the game from that point on. So we're expecting this mech play to be SB, be good, be powerful. But Lambo should get a chance to recover from some of this damage that he's taken. And on a map like Pride, the one thing I don't like about mech on this map is that there's just so many bases for the Zerg to take. And usually for the mech player, taking bases can be something of a difficulty at times. So we'll see if he can get up to all those bases that he needs with this mech army. 9 drones died over here. That's actually really nice damage, especially when Hellions are very much so just give them up units. They are not units you need to keep in play. Lambo nowhere near having the Spire ready, and Kira seems to know that with his teleport in on the next BC. This is not a move you usually make because you're usually worried about the Spire being done. If the Spire's done, then this BC dies. So he must have had info on the Spire timing to justify this BC teleporting across the map, because obviously you wouldn't want this BC to have its teleport on cooldown when the Spire units pop out, because then it's a guaranteed kill. And if it's a guaranteed kill, well, then you're not having a good time, because let's face it, that battle cruiser is kind of important. It costs you a lot of money. You do not want to be losing the BC early in the game. especially when you're going up to like 3 BCs as well, because the power really is in 3 BCs. So you're making that investment, and then you know, if you lose one, it's like, oh, all my future attacks are just that much weaker than they were ever meant to be here. Gains roll through, and those couple of Hellbats go down immediately. Queen's still chasing away down the right-hand side. Hellbats getting pushed out of here, and just going to see the Lings and Banes still coming through. Hellbats, run, Hellbats, run! Yeah, they don't really have much of a chance, do they? So they get pushed away. It's going to be seen the BC overhead is going to get rid of a couple of these Queens. Queens will take some damage, and average speed, like I say, coming up. Battlecruiser jumps in. Drones continue to drop. And a couple Corruptors make their way along as well as these Hellbats move up the ramp, and the Banelings are already going to be in some trouble. So a lot of Banes taking a lot of damage. Gonna drop down now as the Marine gets picked off, the Medevac goes down. Hellbat's gonna come back onto this side, and they're just gonna work their way through that hatchery. So it's just been consistent pressure from Kua. We have just not let it up yet. It's just been absolutely non-stop so far. Ah, there's a big old lag spike. 1 second, guys. Let's see if the clean feed's gonna recover. Oh, we're back. We're good. Alright, guys. Sorry, obviously just a lag spike on the feed. Sometimes you just gotta give it a few moments, see if it comes back before we start closing things and refreshing things, etc. Game's probably going to be a little laggy here for a few moments, guys. The last couple times it's had this kind of lag. It goes a little bit kind of low FPS for like about half a minute to a minute, and then it's going to fix. So sorry and bear with us while the stream fixes itself, basically. There we go. It's back now. 12 drones going down, man. The Hellion run-bys have been brutal. Absolutely just fantastic. 18, 19. The Hellions have been non-stop amazing in this game, and that's the sort of damage that just keeps Lambo building drones, you know? If you just have to keep building drones, it's just so frustrating. You're never able to build, you know, as much army as you would like, so you're not able to put pressure on like you know, as you would like, so it's alleviating a lot of the pressure that could have been on Kua. And just keeps Kua in such a good spot, like I say. These do make their way around to the far right-hand side. Army of Lambo moves its way to the south, and we'll be having a little bit of a chase down on a few Hellions there. The factory's continuing up in production. Here come the BCs. I feel like we've not seen the BCs for a little while, but of course, the Corruptors are across the map, so the BCs are going to find them out of position and take full advantage. And Queens are already dropping down dead. The drones going down. The Hellions are in the mineral lines again. Just every mineral line, you know, anywhere you look, seems to have a Hellion, and it's taking up residence full time. Yeah, it's such going to be a dead battlecruiser as the 2 BCs, and then recall back home. Hellions appear back up the right side, and we do have Lambo maxed out, actually, maybe looking for an attack down on the bottom. So he's going to move through here with this Roach Ravager Corruptor. And you got the missile turret. The Planetary Fortress is going to be under heavy fire. It looks like he'll probably be able to deny this base. Reinforcements coming through. The corrupted damage should just be enough. When was the last time you actually saw corrupted damage being not enough to kill a base off, right? It's very rare. And the units did come along. Once again, though, drones are going down. So at the very least, Kua is dealing some damage himself. His overall supply is starting to slacken off, though, a little bit, and it looks as though Lambo is going to commit through with this Roach Ravager Corruptor army. His BCs are on cooldown for teleport, and he just didn't get that low HP one, which is such a shame. But so much pressure which remains on the map that could have been removed. And if you get rid of those BCs, you can stop building Corruptors as well. You know, if BCs are still around, you need Corruptors, but if BCs are dead, you can get rid of your Corruptors, trade them out for bases with Caustic Spray. And then you can just replace with even more ground army and really work on dealing with that mech army once more. Definitely a difference that can come around. again, Hellions is coming through. I'd love to see like an overall workers killed count. Oh, 54 drones. I was going to say, it would just be kind of interesting to see, right? And in that moment, the Chinese stream would agree with me. Yes, Wardy, it would be kind of interesting to see. And they show us, like I say, 54 drones dead in the game. There's been like a couple attacks that have just been large and significant, but I think the consistency of those Hellions, even when they're not doing the massive damage, just 2 or 3 workers here or there, adds on up. 36 Hellions lost, though. Yeah, but losing Hellions doesn't really matter, because Hellions are just minerals that you're not going to spend on anything else anyway. So losing Hellions is fine, as this is not a good attack for Lambo. The problem here is there's just so many tanks, and he's just not able to get on top of the tanks soon enough. Yeah, the thing is with this, when you play in the mech is that you have minerals left over, basically. You pretty much can never just build the gas units. You pretty much always have to build Hellions to spend all your money. Whereas the Zerg, they could spend all of their money without making new drones, right? So it's better for the Terran to be killing off those drones, even if you're losing the Hellions, because then at least you're using your money and you're spending your money rather than it banking up and doing nothing. And it does slow down the Zerg's unit production, because they would otherwise spend that money on units. Whereas you're going to spend that money on the Hellions no matter what, and they're not really like super amazing in the fights. So you may as well use it. It's just better to slow the Zerg down. Can't you just spend the minerals on more bases? Well, that's the balancing act, right? Because if you just spend the minerals on more and more bases, the problem then becomes, A, you've got to defend those bases and take those bases. And yeah, you could just maybe take orbitals and all of that, but then if you spend too much on just bases, and the Zerg is also just allowed to build up their army and nothing else, they're going to come and kill all your bases, and then you're going to get punished for being too greedy, right? So it's a big balancing act of how it kind of works. And it's just going to be seeing this is a massive fight. Lambo is actually not coming out too hot in it, though. I actually think Lambo's in a lot of trouble here. As Kira is going to put himself even on supply, and Lambo doesn't have like a ton in the bank. It's not like he's got nothing, but it's not super healthy either. He's just going to move forward with this as well and just go forward and try and do something more from here. So a couple tanks continue to siege. The Spinecrawler goes down. These Queens are dropping. Here we go with the Banes and Lings running forward. Can he clean this up? Oh my god, the Lings and Banes just melted. These tanks are just killing everything, guys. It's just at that point where there's too many tanks and there's no Vipers out or anything, so you can't get the blinding clouds you need to actually allow the rest of your units to have a chance to get in range and engage those units. Cripples are going to come through, and they're just going to go caustic spraying down whatever they can. Lambo trying to find any sort of damage with the units he has left over at the moment. Some more bars, another tank gets picked off. Roach Ravage is still taking big hits. Cyclone's still in production as the drilling claws comes through on the side of Kua. Lambo really just doesn't have much left, guys. At this point, Kua is just going to keep moving his mech army up this ramp, and like I say, it's tough just to break this with the lack of tech you have as Lambo. Like I say, without the Vipers or so, I don't know if this is even necessarily possible. Corruptors did actually get the natural expansion, so that's a small victory for Lambo amongst everything else going on. More corrosive bars coming in, a couple cyclones getting cleaned out. I mean, the tanks are still just in the back line, though, and the tanks are the ones that are really the issue. And I've seen a couple of them finally being cleaned out, but again, it's at a huge cost. Lambo just can't deal with this army, having to always just get reinforcements up to not even deal with the reinforcements of his opponent, but just still deal with what is the main force of his opponent that, started this push out. And that's when you know you're in a tough position as the Zerg. That's when you know it's not quite going as well for you as you'd like it to. As these few extra roaches coming in, Widowmines are even connecting. GG from Lambo. 2-0 Scarlet, 2-0 Lambo. That just can't get any worse, basically. Alright. Kua needs one map. If he wins the first map, we don't even play map 2 because the series is just over. That's how much you need a 2-0 here as Bjorn. So, in the bottom left side, our blue Terran is going to be Bjorn from the Shopify Rebellion. Their revived player. Top right out, Red Terran from Dragon Phoenix Gaming. Cure, absolutely on a bit of a roll himself here, is having a very good time. He's absolutely having a good time of it right now. Well, TVT, probably, I mean, Kira is very good in TVT, but I actually do think Beyond is probably the best chance of Shopify taking down Kira as well. That's why it was kind of a shame for, that's why I really think it was a shame for, Beyond to not have that 2-0 against Dark, because it just meant that then you had to send a Zerg out on a Terran map, and it's pretty much always going to be Kira as the pick, and that's pretty much just set the rest of this series in motion then. Which is kind of rough. Factory starts up on the side of Beyond. Kira's is going to go for the very quick expansion, so he just drops that CC down. One gas expand, and it's just going to play a little bit greedier. Larger map hardwire. Thing is, Beyond just can't afford to one gas expand and then get caught off guard by a proxy or something, so he's going to play a little bit safer. In general here, this is a minor worker lead that Kira comes out with. It's nothing super major or anything along those lines, but just a little bit of something to work along with, so. Command centers coming through. Refinery number 2 on the way from Cure. And his own factory obviously will be a little bit later. A lot of the time he's got a bunker coming up, so he's just not going to engage in the Reaper Hellion shenanigans. And probably just goes into the tech lab on the factory, and then you can go into a Cyclone of his own. He is going to build one Hellion at least. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all if it was just one Hellion 2, and then you just go from there. Lots of different possibilities in terms of how you can do this. Lots of options. The Hellion just moving down into the middle of the map, and otherwise just going to be having ourselves the starport finishing up soon. The factory is still cranking out the add-on, and there's a tech lab. Obviously, if you just want to play safe here as well, you can just give the tech lab to the starport and you just start with Raven production. But gas wasn't really there for that overall. I guess if you didn't have the medevac, you'd have the gas for it. But it's going to be a medevac and a Cyclone. Kind of very early to start a Raven, right? It's almost too early to begin a Raven, so not going to commit for that. Guess this bunker will come online very soon. Starport hops over the tech lab over here from Bjorn. He also has the 2 Cyclones and a medevac. We're going to see a Widowmine and a few Marines. Oh, sorry, the Hellion and a few Marines from Kira moving onto the map. And his medevac, and well, both players are going to get aggressive in their own way. They're going to bypass each other as well, so a lot of this comes down to who's got what at home, and Kira having a Cyclone at home might just be the saving grace. Obviously, there is per units in production as well, pretty much mirrored on either side. I just feel like the army that Kira has, does more quickly, and he just has the more units back at home to defend, so let's see, as Bjorn is going to have units in his main base. You can see Bjorn's face already unhappy with this, and Kira's already getting a lot of SCV kills. The Raven of Bjorn starts to move out on the map as he's going to have to lift up. He's already lost 6 SCVs. He was down on SCVs going into this too. Oh, man. Oh, no. I mean, having to drop an auto turret defensively is never good because that's only a 1-point defense. We're going to load back up, go back into the main base. It just ends so quickly, huh? This is almost over already. Unfortunately, I mean, yeah, unfortunately, it's just basically already over. Marine's going to get one of the Cyclones as well, coming back to defend. Oh, Bjorn. We know he can micro that into a medevac and save it, just like he does there. Oh, man. Oh, no, 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 no. This first series is just becoming a disaster for the Shopify Rebellion. Map loss for Beyond against Dark has just set everything else in motion. Cure has just come through and absolutely stepped up to destroy the Rebellion in this best of 7 or so. I mean, this is a hell of a lead. 15 workers up. Cure keeps the medevac alive even, so he gets to bring that back home. And oh man, guys. Oh, I'm sad. I just wanted it to be an exciting series, you know, that was all. I just wanted it to be an exciting series. 4 SUVs going down as the auto turret comes in over on the other side as well. And the army from Beyond still collecting together in the center is going to start moving to the upper right. Bunker is going to salvage a few more Marines collecting up. And it is just a case of if you defend this attack as Kira, he might have got Dragon Phoenix Gaming there. Rematch against Team NV for the Grand Finals. Rematch from last season. Last time went the way of Team NV. We'll talk more about that later though. Right now, Beyond is trying to keep the Shopify Rebellion alive, down 17 workers. He does not find an entry point for his attack. The army supplies are close, slightly in Kira's favor. I mean, that just means that Beyond doesn't really have much of an opportunity here. Ravens are going to come forward. We're just going to Matrix. Matrix, auto turret. The Raven goes down. It's a little bit messy, actually. I mean, it's not a bad fight for Beyond. It's one of those fights which is actually good for Beyond if he didn't have to play from behind, right? If everything else was okay in the game, this would kind of be like a whatever fight. Probably good because he killed the Raven off. But because he's obviously super far behind, it's not good because he kind of needs to win or do some damage in the very near future. I can still popping out, just going to be seeing Beyond still on the offensive, still just knowing that he's the one that needs to do something here. Still down 16 workers as he starts a third CC in position. So, I mean, he's going to try and build a third. Auto turrets go down on either side. I mean, there are more auto turrets here from Beyond, and that will help him to take down the initial setup, but once again, being able to push in further than that is just not really possible. Moving forward, SCVs are going to pull. Q's had enough of Beyond being on the map. He's just going to go forward. He's got stim against no stim. That's it. Dragon Phoenix Gaming are going to go to the grand finals of the Warp Team League Winter.